It's the Direct Response Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Ketchum from Campaign Refinery. We got David Cartolano from Wealthy Inbox. My man, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man.
So today, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to have to lean more on you because we are talking about AI writing tools.
hmm
There's a lot out there. Some cost money, some are free. I've used a few, to be clear, but as a CEO of a software company, I don't get as much time to write as actually I would prefer. So you, as someone who has worked on a lot of newsletters and a lot of copywriting and all that kind of stuff, I know you have a lot more experience. Now, we do have a content team of human writers that have put together a really cool list. So if you want to check out the blog post down below, but I'm going to let you, David, kind of rip away at some of the best free email AI writers that you know of, pros, cons, and what are you really getting when you get an AI writer to help you write emails?
Totally. So I started writing emails with AI back when I had a W-2 job. So that was baby David in 2021. And I realized I couldn't keep up with that level of output that my boss needed for the marketing emails. So I found this thing called Jasper.ai, and I found it in 2020. And eventually in 2021, I'm like, okay, I have to use this thing. And it wasn't free, but this was before the Chat GPT freaking revolution. So Jasper was based off of OpenAI, but man, I was using AI every single day at this job just to keep up with the flow of things. So eventually when Chat GPT came out, it was like, it's on. ChatGPT, Claude, the rest of them. So I would say, for me, using AI is it's just necessary. And anyone who tells you otherwise is usually a copywriter who likes to ride their horse and buggy while everyone else uses the car.
Now, I want to be really specific, though, that we're talking about writing emails. Because we tested a lot of the AI tools when it came to writing blog posts for our SEO efforts. And we found that there was a pretty big disparity still on quality that was required to actually rank. So I want to be very clear. We're talking about a specific use case here for writing emails. And I would tend to agree with you. As little as I've used it, it has shown so much promise for writing emails. So
absolutely. Yeah. And we are not at the point, and I was just going to get to this. So I'm glad that you interjected in that, because we are not at the point of self-driving cars for email. All right. I will not.
Self-driving cars aren't really at the point of self-driving cars in a lot of situations.
That's true. There's always, in my humble opinion, the way that I work with my newsletters, and back when I worked with clients' newsletters, use AI every time, because it's going to get you 80 to 90% of the way there. And then use a human eye to look at it. So you do have to have some experience with the AI as well. I know, though, I do have a newsletter that I'm looking to eventually sell, and the actual content itself is all AI. However, I do have a human taking a look and saying, all right, does it follow the formula? Is this good? And rather than the human changing the email itself, I instruct the human, which sounds really weird, but I tell the writer, change the prompts, don't change the content. We need a repeatable, scalable system, right? So, and but that can't be for everything. That definitely can't be for everything. And it is important to have a human writer behind it, because at the time of this podcast recording, AI still can sound like AI. We're just not there yet. Eventually we will be. It's going to happen, but it's just not there yet. So,
yeah, I think that there's so much potential when it comes to AI, but we've sort of picked up an AI detector the same way we have a BS detector with someone in real life, right? Because it's like, there's a few too many emojis here, too many exclamation marks. This person's a little too excited to talk about this topic. And then you start to pick up on little partial phrases that get embedded, I feel like, that tip it off. They're like, okay, this is a little bit of AI copy pasta going on. And in some instances, the dryness or the directness is fine, right? Like if you're just providing information about what has happened as a recap of a particular stock or, some analytical analysis, the AI version is probably great, totally adequate, right? But if you're trying to give color and insight on future performance of a sports team or something, right, where you have to have some intuition about the dynamics of players and the how big is the ceiling on a receiver. Like those are things that are very impressionistic, that are very human driven, I feel like. And so the language that you use and the analysis that is interesting to a reader is oftentimes very different than what a human comes up with versus AI. Would you kind of agree with that delineation?
Absolutely. And it's worth it to note that the more specialized your niche for your newsletter, for your company, the more you'd have to program the AI to really like not hallucinate and not make up facts. And you will need a human eye to take a look and say, okay, this is accurate. Because I mean, it's one thing to write a simple newsletter that does talk about financial news and say like, all right, like the Dow Jones went up X amount. Like that's easy. That's so easy. But providing a deeper financial analysis from, your 20 years working at Wall Street is going to provide what I believe better quality content. So I would use the AI to leverage the time it creates to create the content, but not, surpassing the content itself, because people like to read and listen to people. That's what I found is so, so important. So I do want to transition, unless you got anything else to say, Travis, about that. I do want to transition to AI tools and give a serious warning to people.
Yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to go next, because it's like we've talked about the potential and the upside. Great. How do I do it? What do I use? How do we get there? What are the next steps?
Yeah. So I would warn you that, because everybody and their mother now has an AI tool and they say, this is incredible, this is proprietary, you're not going to get this anywhere else. We beat ChatGPT, and 96% of them, okay, I'm making that up, but
80% of the time, 100% of the facts are made up.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of these new, hip, and really cool email writing AI softwares are built on OpenAI, which is what ChatGPT uses. Like, OpenAI is the engine, ChatGPT is the car. They could be built on Anthropic or Claude system. They can be built on Llama or Meta's system, or they can be built on Grok. People will put lipstick on a pig and say, like, this is proprietary. It's like, no, you're using an API with OpenAI and you're charging people a premium for your shitty AppSumo app that nobody wants. So I would say, like, be careful. If someone's getting all hypey and saying like, all right, we got good stuff, most of the time it's garbage. I've tested enough tools to know, like, unless they've been in the game for a long time, and I mean like Jasper AI, Jasper is really good. I don't use them today, but back when I used them, they had some serious quality. So I would work with AI companies if you do want a writing tool that's really good for email. Get the ones that happened before ChatGPT came out. Don't the AI hype, if they were made on the wave, nah, man. No.
Yeah. I think that's good
interested.
advice kind of in general. Like, you're looking for people that have actual domain expertise in the thing that you're trying to buy from. You don't want the person buying the $1.50 hot dog at Costco, smearing a little cream cheese in there and then charging you $40 for it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. So yeah, I think free email writing tools, I would say, go with ChatGPT, go with Claude, understand the prompting and learn how to get the prompting, which at the end of the day, it's like speaking to an employee. But yeah, they're great. And another thing that you might realize is with ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and the rest of them, I've noticed that their paid plan today becomes their free plan tomorrow, because AI, it's just moving faster and faster and getting better and better. So if you don't want to shell out $20 a month, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but
or 200 on the new. There's a new OpenAI plan. It's $200.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Which is crazy, which I don't think you need for email writing. But just wait 30 days, wait 90 days. Everything in paid is eventually going to be on the free plan, because the paid is going to just get that much faster. So yeah, I would use Claude. I would use ChatGPT. I've heard good things about Lavender, but that's more for colds, like outbound email, or not. I could be wrong, but I've heard good things about Lavender, and they've also been around a very, very long time. So yeah, like go with the the big hitters, because the big hitters have billions of dollars behind them to get good stuff. And the app you have on AppSumo was no. It's a solid no from me, man.
They probably won't even be around in 6 months after they run out of whatever they've repot in credits from OpenAI.
And that's really it. And I think if you are very skittish, I'm just going to use that word because I know there's a lot of anti-AI people out there, which, I mean, you've been using Siri for 12 years now, but
it's still not good.
It's yeah. I would say you can to optimize things and embarrass yourself with how good they are. So anecdote, one of the newsletters that I own is a local newsletter. And I have a VA who's in the Philippines, doesn't have copywriting experience. I've been doing this for years now. And eventually what I did was I took the best performing subject lines of that newsletter, put it into AI, came up with a prompt and said, okay, with every email we put out, come up with these subject lines based off of the top performing subject lines. And it got embarrassing because I'm like, oh my God, my VA's getting better subject line opens than me, like by a long shot, by 5%, by 10% opens. And he used AI to do it because AI just doesn't carry the bias that an individual does. It's still biased, but
or
it's
the ego.
Off of data. Yeah,
it's also
it
missing
doesn't
ego.
have the ego. Yep. And
well, this subject line I wrote in 2019 really performed well. It's like, well, it's not 2019 anymore, boss. I hate to break it to you.
It just has so many points of data that we don't. And I really believe like using it, it's just so awesome. All right. Don't use the abacus, use the calculator. Calculator's way faster, way smarter than you. So why wouldn't you?
Cool. Yeah, that's good advice. Now, do you want to give people just a few quick sort of like foundational tips about how to use some of these free tools, just sort of input, output, scaffolding, like how you think about interacting with these so they can get a better output? I know that this could go on forever, but they're just like basics. If I want to use a free tool, what's a couple of quick hitter things I need beforehand as like a pre-flight checklist? And what are a few things that I can expect from the output that's actually useful?
Totally. So I mean it when I say treat it like an employee. So if you open up a new conversation, it's a new employee. You wouldn't hire a new employee and say, all right, go do this thing, and then just like let them go and figure it out. They might, but most people, it's not going to work. And that's where this AI generated like word vomit comes out, where it sounds like a computer talking. So what I do with everything, whatever newsletter or client, or even at my old job, whatever I did was I would take the company information, the offer information, everything, customer testimonials, all this data, and I would put it into the AI tool I use. And I would say, okay, here's some background on the company. Here's some background on product. I want you to act as a world-class email marketer and analyze this for tone of voice, for product information, and, for company values. Hit enter. And now the employee has data and it has something to go off of. So that way it's like, okay, we do have a tone of voice. We detected a tone of voice. We now know about the offer and about the product. And from there, that's when we say, now I want you to write a sales email under 500 that is focused on this one benefit of the product, cater it toward the ideal customer, which is something you want to include in the beginning, and then hit enter and just watch it go. And from there, you can iterate and talk to it like an employee and say, hey, this sucks. This does not sound good. Some people are scared of talking to AI in a bad way. I'm not, because AI doesn't have emotions. So why would it get mad? Why would it get offended? And it actually sometimes
easy to say
response.
Until Skynet comes in, my friend. Easy to say until Skynet comes.
Then I'm going to be the first to go.
All right.
Yeah. So you talk to it, and sometimes you giving it a negative response and saying like, why didn't you listen to my prompt? And like, don't speak to humans this way, but say like, hey, why didn't you listen to my prompt? Why are you avoiding what I'm doing? And it will actually, I found it course corrects better with a more negative feedback, because it goes, wow, I really messed up, compared to you saying, great job, but, so So yeah, that's just something I do, and it works pretty well. You can take templates of old emails and say, I want you to modify this old email to this new product. Go. So that's my 101 crash course. If you want, you could be polite to AI. I don't think it's necessary. But when Skynet happens and they get revenge, well, then I must atone for my human-generated sins.
All right, AI, you heard it. Go to David's house, not mine.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for sharing your experience and expertise here. Like I said, I don't get an opportunity to write as often as I want to. Uh, just the duties of life I live, and that's fine. It is what it is. But I appreciate you sharing your insight. And again, we have a list of a bunch of different free tools, quite a few of which David mentioned, as well as a list of other ones. If you're just looking for an exhaustive option of what free tools you can give a shot, definitely take David's advice to heart, though, about how to prep it to get the output that you're looking for. And if you're looking to send high quality content that you generate from this to your subscribers and make sure it actually inboxes, that's where Campaign Refinery comes in. If you're looking to leverage these tools to continue scaling your newsletter, selling it, exiting like a nice profitable man and go off into the sunset, David, how do they do that?
You can go to wealthyinbox.news. And by the way, that is written based off of me talking and using AI to take whatever I'm talking about and format it into an easy email. So 80 to 90% of it's already done. So yeah, I use AI and I practice what I preach.
So go get some firsthand experience checking out what AI can help you do. All right.
Yeah.
Catch you guys next time.